Let's move to our next lens, variance Hertz. I think this one, may produce some gains if any of these changes are going to produce gains. We've noticed previously that the anesthesiologist is our bottleneck. The anesthesiologist is exposed in this, is certainly completes this anesthesia process, the pre-op and the providing the anesthesia, the spinal anesthesia, but then is with the surgeon during the surgery process, and there is exposed to the variance of the surgery procedure. So they're exposed to that variance. So one idea is to go to the BMI structure. I mean, Paul Kanojip wrote a paper, pointing this out, that BMI matters. And so, the fact that that investment was made means that, there's something to it. And maybe we can exploit that information. In this particular clip, what I'd like to consider is splitting the population of folks who are going to get surgeries into a lighter weight and heavier weight BMI, two categories, and having the lighter weight folks go through the northern track, the track A, and have the heavier folks go through track B. So with that in mind, I did a 2 BMI group. So again, the original setup here was had 1%, 14%, and so forth. 10% are morbidly obese, 45% are obese. And what I'm looking to do is to sort of draw some kind of a line here conceptually, and so that 50% are, what is this, 44? It's going to be somewhere down here, right? So 50% are above the line, 50% are below the line. And these folks here are going to be going through track B, and these folks up here are going to go through track A. And the rationale for splitting it up like this is that, as long as we have the patients assigned to the appropriate doctor, there's going to be a surgeon who's going to work on predominantly lower to obese BMIs, and then the second surgeon is going to be doing obese and morbidly obese patients. But the idea is that we're not going to allow this variance that we get with the heavier patients, not the heavier, but the higher BMI patients, to bleed into or to affect the lower BMI patients. That's the insight. And so it's sort of the reverse of pooling here, but to exploit this idea that we can reduce the variance of the lower BMI folks to the advantage of the process overall. Okay, so the key here is I've done that here. You can see that I've got, and on the original weights here, 1, 14, and 35. And so I'm grabbing 5% of the obese to be part of group 1. And just see if I can scroll all the way across here. This is group 1. So all the underweight, all the normal weight, all the overweight, and 5% of the obese are in that track A category, and then the track B folks are 40% of the obese and 10% of the morbidly obese. Same kind of strategy. I've got 97.62 here, 6.789, and then for the track B folks, 103.8, 13.41. So obviously heavier, sort of longer mean and larger standard deviation. But let's see if this works to our advantage. So I'm going to go back into the model and just plug these values in. So it's 97.62, and I'll just write this down on the screen so we have it. So the A folks, the mean standard deviation 97.62, 6.79, let's say, and for B, So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the time here. Track A folks are now 6.79 deviation. It's 97.62. And then for B, this is just now the duration of the surgery. 42. Remember, standard deviation, comma mean. That's good. And I'll just go ahead and clean that up. So again, 1342, 3.8. This one is 679, 97.62. I have restored what we did for pulling the ORs. There's now 2 of those. We seize a operating room pool B, and we release that resource down here. So this is, oh, I must just clean that up. Operating room pool B. So basically, it's the original base case, but with these revised surgery times that are recorded here. Just want to get rid of the annotations. All right. Now the flow times on track B are going to be longer because the variance is higher than what it was. But the question is whether we can squeeze an extra patient out of this somehow. So let's just speed it up a little bit and watch what's going on. So we're at 40 minutes, 45 minutes now. Surgeries have started in both A and B tracks. We should see a completion of the surgery in A typically, but not necessarily, I think because there are random numbers working here. But typically the surgery in the A track is going to complete first. It was almost simultaneous. Okay, I mean, they're not that far apart, but let's just run it now to completion. So 205, 234. Utilizations very high on the anesthesiologists. Surgeons 70, mid 70s roughly. Operating rooms 50. These are not pooled ORs anymore. Simulation main. Let's do 1. $187, $206. So shorter flow times here. That makes sense. Very similar picture on the utilizations. The EVS has a very low utilization, as does the registrar pool. Third iteration. Okay, 219 and 219 and 209. And let's make this 90. Three completions here, 4 here, 215, 248, a really bad one. Okay, so that's the idea of not pooling the patients, separating out the lower BMI from the higher BMI, and you judge the efficacy of that move.